The biggest mistake I see with market intelligence is people looking at market intelligence like it's a project or a report. It's not. It's a function. And the report is a byproduct of the function. The function is all about how the organization thinks. So market intelligence should inform decisions at every level of the organization, and that function flows data into all those decision processes that you're making. It should be as core to the business as reviewing the financials monthly. So there are a few costs associated with this misunderstanding about what market intelligence is. The first one is it costs you your visionary capacity. You're going to miss opportunities and threats that come up by not monitoring what's happening in the market around your company. The pace of change in the market is too fast to have this kind of lag in your decision-making process. Your vision can end up looking backwards in the rearview mirror instead of looking forward. This can ultimately lead to a loss in market leadership. The other cost is it can lead to money wasted on reports that aren't driving decisions. So the intelligence gathered needs to be embedded in the DNA of the organization, not sitting in a report in someone's office that gets read once and never touched again. Many organizations do not understand the value or the role of market intelligence. My experience has been that once an organization embraces it, they'll usually say, where has this been my entire life? So if you want to embrace market intelligence, you need to formalize the function inside your organization. Some organizations are over-relying on third-party data that has no analysis specific to their organization. If you're not getting analysis specific to your business or industry, you're not getting real insights. This can be a self-fulfilling prophecy because you won't value data that doesn't impact the business. Another issue I see is any data that comes in that challenges those entrenched models of thought gets rejected. It's going to face stiff resistance even if the information is factually correct. Oftentimes, market intelligence is already being gathered in your organization, but it's happening in silos and not coordinated across departments. There's also some great market intelligence that goes uncollected from sales functions in many organizations. I think it goes uncollected because it's extra work for the salespeople and it doesn't result in any tangible benefit for them that they're aware of. These insights are important because the customers are excellent sources of intel. Market intelligence is the ongoing process of figuring out what's happening in the market around your business and how it affects the decisions that you make. It's all about making informed decisions. Every leader that I work with has the same problem. They're trying to make high stakes decisions with incomplete information. They have financials, they have internal KPIs, and they have their gut instinct. What they're missing is an ongoing, reliable read on what's going on outside the business that can impact those decisions. It's the context that's missing. Market intelligence closes the gap between what's going on in the market and what your leadership team is acting on. It solves the problem of strategic blind spots, the unknown unknowns. It's the difference between a CEO walking into a planning meeting and saying, we believe this is where the market is going, versus we know the market is moving in this direction. Here's what we're seeing and here's what we're doing about it. Market intelligence is meant to support the kind of decisions where the cost of failure is extremely high. This could show up as financial losses, job losses, negative impact on your tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers that you rely on to run your business, and negative impacts on the communities that you operate in. The leadership team should care the most about the outcomes of market intelligence because they're the ones responsible for the outcomes of the resulting strategy. In other words, whoever's head will be on a pike if it fails. The shareholders should care too. At the end of the day, market intelligence isn't a deliverable, it's a function. It's not something you just do once. It's something you build into how the organization operates. The purpose of market intelligence is to provide context that informs a decision. Market research answers specific questions. For example, market research can answer the question, is there demand for this product in the market? Market intelligence answers, given everything that's happening in the market right now, which direction should we point the entire company? Market research is a snapshot about how your customers feel today and how they felt in the past. You do market research periodically, or with some organizations I've worked with, you do it quarterly. You commission it when you need it, you get your findings, and you're done. The output from market research is a static report that you can use as an input into a larger process alongside competitive intelligence and business intelligence. Market intelligence, on the other hand, should be continuous monitoring with data collection and periodic analysis. This informs general operations and/or a specific decision. Market research produces a report with a data set, a summary of findings, and specific recommendations on how to move forward. Market intelligence produces a living, breathing view of the market that you can tap into at any time to get insights. Market intelligence is the briefing that the leadership team brings to a planning session to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That briefing allows them to focus on the so what's rather than debating what the facts are so that they can move on to the important decisions. Competitive intelligence is focused on the players, and market intelligence is focused on the game. Competitive intelligence says, what are our competitors doing now and what might they do next? Market intelligence asks, what's happening in the overall market? That might be competitors, trends, technological shifts, and how is that going to impact our decisions going forward? Competitive intelligence goes deep and market intelligence goes wide. One way to think about it is that competitive intelligence is a valuable asset within a market intelligence framework, but it doesn't replace market intelligence. A company that relies only on competitive intelligence may be missing the big picture of threats or opportunities that are coming down the pipeline that affects both them and their competitors. For decades, vendors and consultants have used these terms interchangeably because it didn't matter to them. They sold a project either way. As a result, you've got a whole generation of leaders that have been told they're buying market intelligence, and what they're actually buying is a market research report. Or they hired a competitive intelligence analyst and expected that person to cover the entire industry landscape. Frankly, the language has been sloppy for so long, leaders have never had a reason to question it. What is the cost of confusion? The first thing that happens is a misallocated budget. The leadership team says, we need market intelligence. Someone commissions a research report. They receive the report, and then everyone checks the box. 6 months later, the market has shifted and nobody noticed because they bought a snapshot and not a monitoring function. So the money wasn't wasted, it was just spent on the wrong problem. Second thing I see is the wrong people doing the wrong. I see this all the time. Someone gets hired to do market intelligence and they spend all their time doing competitive intelligence because that's the most visible, easily trackable thing that they can do. Meanwhile, nobody's watching customer shifts, technological trends, and things that are moving the entire market. The organization thinks it's covered. It ain't. The third and the most expensive one is strategic decisions built on an incomplete picture. When a leadership team thinks competitive tracking is the same thing as market intelligence, they end up with a strategy that is entirely reactive. Every strategic play is in reaction to what somebody else did. Now you're lagging behind your competitors. So you end up losing the ability to see opportunities that your competitors missed because no one was looking for them. Here's what it usually looks like. Somewhere in the organization, there's a dashboard. Maybe it's Power BI, maybe it's Tableau, maybe it's a shared Google Sheet that someone updates. It's got market share data, maybe some competitive news, and some industry stats. And technically, someone's looking at it. Here's the test to see if it's actually market intelligence. Ask the leadership team what it's telling them that they should do differently. That's where a dashboard falls apart. A dashboard can show you numbers, but it can't tell you what that means in context or what to do about it. The reason that this failure is so common is because it looks responsible. The organization can point to that dashboard and say, but we track the market. And they're not wrong. They are tracking. But tracking and intelligence are fundamentally different things. Tracking tells you what happened. Intelligence tells you what it means, what's likely to happen next, and what your organization should consider doing about it. That gap leads to costly strategic mistakes. What's always missing in these situations is the interpretive layer. Someone whose job it is to look at all that information and say, this is what it means to us. Here's what we should be paying attention to. And here's what's changed since last month. This interpretive layer is what turns data into intelligence. Without it, you've got inputs but no output. What happens is you make decisions based on gut instinct and a low context interpretation of the data that you have available. You end up not filling in the blanks, you just skip over them to the next step in the decision process, assuming that everything will turn out all right, or you'll get some early signal that'll tell you you're on the wrong track. You end up building strategies that are not grounded in forward-looking data. You end up talking to the wrong customers, or you talk to the right customers about the wrong things. You end up making product decisions that serves the market of the past, not the one of the future. It immediately gets leadership on the same page as to what's happening and what it means to the business. Then the focus of the conversation can be on high-value decisions like, what do we do about it and how should we act? The decision you make is the real value here. Too many meetings about strategy end with we'll look into it or we'll form a committee to come up with some recommendations. This adds incredible lag to the strategic response time of your organization. You want to understand what's happening in the market, decide how to act, and then act. What I see is companies who build and maintain that function are more competitive in the market, and they make better medium to long-term decisions. The simplest way I can put it is business intelligence looks inward, competitive intelligence looks at your rivals, market research looks at a specific question at a specific moment, market intelligence looks at your entire environment on an ongoing basis. They're all valuable, but they're all different. And most organizations are over-investing in some and completely neglecting others. The best thing you can do today is get clear on the difference between the three different types of intelligence: market intelligence, market research, and business intelligence. Know where these live inside your organization, see if you have any gaps, and try to leverage all three to see what's coming next. So if this resonated, I've put together the ultimate guide to market intelligence on our website. It goes much deeper on everything we've covered today and includes a readiness checklist that you can use with your team. The link is in the description. And if you're watching this and thinking we definitely don't have this figured out right now, that's exactly what we're here for. Please reach out.